Hello, my name is Barb, and I want to talk about chronic hyperventilation syndrome. I've seen a lot of videos on hyperventilation, but I haven't seen one where the person actually has the syndrome or has hyperventilation. They're always just factual things. This is what you do, but you don't really hear the experiences. So I want to talk about everything that I know about it. Now, I'm not a doctor, so the important thing is whatever I tell you is just what I'm telling you about my experiences and what helped me. But you just need to go to your own doctor and ask advice and all that kind of thing. This is just to give you some background knowledge. Um, you know what it feels like. You can't get your breathing back. You just can't get it back to normal. You're breathing out all the excess oxygen, and then you try to breathe in regularly, but then you take in too much and you feel awful. You're kind of scared. Your breath has come too fast, so you breathe out a little bit, but then you're kind of clenching your system. You're afraid to breathe in or out because you know it's not going to go back to normal, and your head feels a little buzzy. You feel lightheaded, and you gasp a big breath and you start over, and you're spending all your time concentrating on just how to breathe normally. It's kind of crazy. Um, you try to relax. Some people are breathing out too much. Some people are breathing in too much. Some people are doing both. And just coming to the solution, it can take years and years, or it can be instant. It's just, this is a crazy, crazy malady. It really is. My body feels like an accordion a lot of the time, it's, it's very, very frustrating. Um, and you always think to yourself, how difficult is it to breathe correctly? It's the dumbest mental illness to have. So, so of course I had it. Um, and I know it's stupid. I should know how to breathe. I've been breathing for years, but you just can't figure it out. You can't get back to normal. And you have all these weird episodes. Now, I am a very, very healthy person, and I want to show people that I'm healthy. It's really hard for me in so many ways and frustrating because, first of all, I'm not going to get surgery to look younger than I am. I'm 64 years old, and, and unfortunately, genetically, I inherited jowls and stuff, but also I had severe, severe acne, so I don't have that beautiful skin glow, even though I have all my nutrients and I am so healthy for my age and I run circles around people and I don't have any arthritis and, it's, so it's just crazy. And then to now come on with this hyperventilation stuff and on top of it all, and it's like, I worry about it. I think, is this going to shut my life span, make it a little less? Am I doing damage internally with this crazy hyperventilation stuff? I really don't know. But I have found some things that work, and just recently, and so I do want to tell you all about those soon. But you can't really rid yourself of 44 years of hyperventilating overnight. I've been hyperventilating on and off since I was in my 20s. Or maybe you can do it overnight. I mean, I shouldn't say you can't. Maybe you can. There's that possibility. But with me, I'm a person of habit, and so I go back to old habits. And when it comes to breathing, so far it seems like I'm going to have it a lot less than I did before, a whole lot less, but I still might go into those modes now and then a little bit, but I have more controls, more ways to control it to make it better. And so those are the things that I want to be able to share with you. But first, let's talk about my past and how it all started and what and I've had different kinds of hyperventilation, so I want you to learn some of the different types that there are out there. um, let's see, I'm kind of all over the place here. I will tell you that even after I got rid of the worst of my hyperventilating just recently, I did have an anxiety attack, and it was right, or you could call it a panic attack, really, because it wasn't just anxiety, it was an attack. panic attack. It was right before the last debate with Biden versus Trump. And I'm not going to make this political. I'm not going to say which person I want, but I was so worried. I was so worried that my candidate would not do well and or that he'd just blow something somehow. And I was nervous about it all day long. And I didn't realize it was getting to me. You know, you don't always have those unless you're really paying attention to your body, you don't really notice that you're getting kind of tense and you know. And a little before it was about to start, I had a full-blown attack. I'm sitting right here in the chair and my heart was just racing and my breathing was going really fast. And I immediately took my hands, I cupped them, and I just, because I knew that I needed a little bit of carbon dioxide in my system. Now, I don't do that more than 4 times, only because I read somewhere 6 to 10 times you could do it. So I thought, well, for little me, I'm going to do 4 to 6 times. I'm going to always be on the safe side. But just to put a little more carbon dioxide in there, try to calm myself down. And I was like making sure I didn't over breathe too much. You know, I was trying to settle that down, paying attention to that. And then I started to relax. And then also when my candidate started, I could see he was doing just fine. I calmed down, you know, but it shocked me that I had it because I thought I was over it. And it was like, okay, no, apparently it's going to come every once in a while. Something will happen. Um, but I feel like I am retraining my body to do better. And let's see. Oh, the people who usually get this syndrome are insecure people who project themselves to be cool and confident. And that's what I read. And it sounds like how I am a good share of the time. People think I just have it all together, which is strange. Um, um, More women get this than men. And people with mitral valve prolapse tend to get hyperventilation. We're kind of wired differently. I have mitral valve prolapse, big startle responses from that, and we're extra sensitive people. So, and I acquire habits very easily, and you might be that way too, which is frustrating. So, weird side effects from hyperventilation. When you're not in distress, but you're also not breathing normally, you just got little hyperventilation problems, are sighing extra, you know, doing some sighing, yawning. You just you do it more and you're doing it not because you're tired. Your lips can become kind of thin and you're starting to lick your lower lip. And I hate that. I hate when I do that because I can tell it's making me do it. I'm not doing that. It's making me do that, the hyperventilation. You loosen your pants because you think somehow it's going to help you breathe a little better. Um, so those are some side effects. I will tell you there is a machine you can buy that you can hook yourself up to, and it's like a therapy thing. It's called CART, and it'll let you know when your breathing is more close to normal, and you know, so you can kind of like, oh, that one was a good breath, and then you can try to imitate that one, and it can help. But it also costs. I can't find the price now, but I know one time I saw it and it was either 1,000 or 4,000. It was somewhere up in the thousands, and that's way out of my price range. So we're on our own, some of us. So let me tell you about my story. I said I was going to, and I'm going to do that right now. The first time I hyperventilated was 20 years ago. 20, no, I'm sorry, I was 20 years old. A lot more than 20 years ago. Try to more than double that. I was 20 years old at Marygrove College in Detroit. There was a recital, and I was supposed to sing the first song, and I was supposed to be the finale with a piano piece. Uh, the episode I had would be called acute hyperventilation because it was sudden and severe with certain characteristics that you'll recognize. This is a hint. Okay, that's a hint. One of them. Okay, I had acne, poor self-esteem, but I thought I was handling my life really pretty well. And now that I look back, I was a total mess, but I couldn't speak up for myself. So for some reason, I never told anybody. I hated the aria that I was about to sing. It was a German aria, and though I love the German language, I did not like to sing it, and I didn't feel like I did a good job. Was doing a good job. I couldn't. It was not going to be good. And then the finale was supposed to be a 7-page piano solo. Um, the piece was too hard for me. Why didn't they just go, no, that's too hard, choose something else? I don't know, maybe they did, and I insisted because I wanted to be able to play it. I don't know, but when the recital came along, I knew I wasn't prepared. So I'm going into this thing with those issues, that anxiety going on. So I start singing for the people. I get to the second phrase, and all of a sudden I feel really lightheaded, and I don't know what's going on. I'd never had hyperventilation before. I didn't know what was going on, but I just was like, oh, sort of like feeling like I'm swaying, and my hands all of a sudden went just like this, stiff as can be. There's acute stuff. Um, and it has something to do with alkalosis, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't remember, but something physical that made my hands curl up like that. And so I just stood there and I leaned down to the mic and I said, "Excuse me, I think I'm going to faint." And these two nuns jump up from their chairs. They were in the front row, and they jumped up from their chairs, and one grabbed me here and one grabbed me here, and they walked me down the aisle in between all the people that, watching the recital, walked me down out into the hall, out in like this arched corridor thing, and it was beautiful anyway, but they walked me up and down, and I thought, this is so hilarious, because I was not Catholic and not religious, and I'm being walked up and down by these two nuns, and I'm thankful that they were there. I sure am. But they put me in the back then, and I sat there by myself, and someone came up to me and said, "Are you going to be able to play the last piano piece?" And I thought to myself, did you see my hands? I mean, they were back to normal by then, but I was in no condition, and I just said no. And I was so ashamed, and I felt like such a failure. And, basically I was, but, it wasn't, I didn't even know what had happened. So the next time something happened, I was in Jackson, Michigan, because that's a long story, but um, I was driving, and all of a sudden I get this panic attack. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I thought I was having a heart attack, though. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was having a heart attack. And so I drive myself to Foot Hospital and go into their emergency and get hooked up to the EKG or EEG or whatever it was. I don't know. I think it was EKG. And they said, no, you don't have, your heart is fine. You just had a panic attack, it looks like, or you're hyperventilating. Do you realize that you hyperventilate at all? And I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't know. I started thinking about it. And then they told me, oh, but you do have mitral valve prolapse. Or no, they said you have a heart murmur. Do you realize you have a heart murmur? And I thought, yeah, when I was 5, I was told I have a heart murmur. My mom said so, but no doctor's ever found it since. But there it was. So, mitral valve prolapse. That's, yeah. Don't worry about me either. It's nothing. So later on, I was back living with my parents. Things didn't work out in a lot of places. I was back living with my parents, and I could heard some whispers and things going on with my parents, and they decided to give me a pill because I had been doing some crying and stuff. My life was crappy. And they gave me a pill, and they said, this will help you. The doctors say this is going to help you relax and be good for you. And go upstairs and lie down. So I went upstairs and lay down by myself after taking this pill. And of course, I'm scared. And I lay there for a while, tried to sleep. I couldn't. And then I looked at my hand, and it seemed to be getting bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. And then I look on the wall, and there's the shadow of my hand, and the shadow is getting bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. So I scream, which definitely tells me I'm on medication, because I wouldn't do that in my house, or my parents' house anyway. But I screamed. And so my dad comes up and he goes, "There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need that medication. We're throwing it away." Walks back downstairs. And that's it. That was the end of that. We didn't talk much. So so I just had this hyperventilation a little bit on and off for years, but they were a little more like panic attacks. But at some point, just hyperventilating became a little more common, and it seemed like it would show up for no reason at all sometimes. I just started hyperventilating, and then a few years ago it started to get worse. It would be for like a couple of hours, or it would be for 3 days, and then it would go away for 3 months, and then it would come back again. And I was trying to pinpoint it with something. No, it's not caffeine, because for 3 months I was drinking caffeine, and I didn't have it, and now I have it. What is going on? I'm not stressed. I mean, I am, but I know it. I know I am, and I am taking steps to become, and I like to enjoy my life. I enjoy what's going on. You just can't figure it out sometimes. So then I started to get worse, and it was like almost all the time. It's been, this was just a few months ago that it was almost all the time. It was interrupting me, making me lightheaded a little bit. And I was up at the receptionist desk at lunchtime, and I was looking up stuff on the computer while I was up there, like how to control hyperventilation, things to do, to try to, what is it, and learning while I was up there. But I was also hyperventilating. If I even thought of the word hyperventilation, I would hyperventilate. If I thought about my breathing, I would hyperventilate. And it was very, very hard. It did affect a couple of meetings where, I mean, my head just wasn't there, and I had to try to concentrate so much. But I got through it. They didn't know. They just thought I was Spacey Barb, the usual, because I am. Anyway. But at night I couldn't sleep. I was exhausted. Sometimes my ribs were hurting from breathing wrong all day long. And I thought, this is dumb. I'm a happy person. I don't get it. So well-meaning people would say, breathe into a paper bag. Well, am I going to carry a paper bag around with me everywhere? Um, Most experts will say not to do that now. There's a few that still say it's okay. Most of them will say no, maybe because I'm just guessing that it would be like breathing too much in and out. It could bring on something serious. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know why, but I wouldn't do that. And that's why I went to this little cupped hands thing just a couple times, just to help a little. And that's just something I thought of, and it seems to work good for me. Oh no, I did read it somewhere too. Um, they will also tell you, why don't you do yoga? I was drinking 7 cups of coffee a day. You think I'm going to sit there and hold, relax, go to the next pose? It's just like, it would take too much time. I'm not going to spend an hour doing something like that. That is boring. And then the same thing with, though I can now do like yoga poses, but I just speed it up. And meditation. Oh, what's the first thing they tell you with meditation? I mean, people are telling you, you should just meditate, Barb. They say, think of the breath. Yeah, that works out well for me. Think of the breath. Sure. And yeah, I didn't want to do the meditation thing at all. Plus, again, that's another really boring thing and a waste of time. I like to get things done. I don't want to waste my time thinking about breathing or thinking about nothing at all. Be a blank slate. No, that's not going to help. I want to use this for something positive, hopefully. Um, so there was one form of meditation that I did find useful, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit, but I did find it useful. So let's start talking about things that help. Um, and then after that, I'm going to tell you the things that help the most, and I will have a list of them. So stay on here if you're getting bored. One of the things that they now say to do is to breathe in slowly for the count of 3, pause, and then breathe out slowly for the count of 3. And then I've read some sites that say 4 and 6, and I don't know how they come up with that, but they're trying to do normal breathing patterns, and I just figure, I'll try breathe in slowly for 3, hold it without tensing anything, and then breathe out slowly. And it is so hard when your body is set on fast, but it's supposed to help. And then they say you don't instantly feel that it's helping it, but after a couple minutes, I mean, you do it, you think, oh, that didn't work. And then after a couple minutes, you're not hyperventilating because it's like your body sort of reset. That's what I read. Okay. But that does seem to help me a little bit. Also, there's a quick, and these are quick fixes. They're not going to be permanent. Like you can stop your hyperventilation and then 2 minutes later you can be in it again, you know, but at least it helps each time. You've got something you can do. One is to cover one nostril to breathe in and then breathe out slowly through pursed lips. And so like you're sitting up at the receptionist desk, like, you know, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? You know? Slower, Barb, slower. Yeah, but it does, again, it slows things down a little bit. It's going to help. It did help me a little bit. And anytime I go, it's going to help you. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you what works for me. Um, Another thing they said to do was breathe through a straw, but they didn't tell me whether like a regular straw or like a little coffee stirrer. And because I saw some guy doing a coffee stirrer, and to me that was so hard to do. But a straw, I thought, well, maybe. Um, I did try those. I think pursed lips is a little easier because, you know, again, you got to carry a straw around, have it handy. Um, so these are quick things. Now, three things that help these, how come I have three things that help? I have three things that help the very most. 9 things. It's 9. Okay, so they've taken me from hyperventilating nearly all the time to only about, you know, maybe 4% of the day or something, maybe even less than that. Every day I seem to be getting better, so I'm feeling good. I just didn't want to wait like 2 years so I could say I haven't hyperventilated for 2 years. I thought even while I still have this a little bit, I want to let you know I've got controls, I've got hope for once, you know, that kind of thing. Um, so okay, um, the first one is, now this is going to sound stupid and you're going to go, oh gosh, her stuff is really stupid. Listen to all 9. But the first one is simply breathe in. Because normally I started by breathing out. I'd start out and then I just, because you're in hyperventilation, I breathe out too much. And then it'd be like, you know, you couldn't help it. You take a big breath in. You know, it's like the opposite, and you breathe in. So start out breathing in and then start to think about relaxing. You know, you try to think about that. Now it's going to still be too big. But one thing that I started to notice was I was closing off the breathing, trying to control it a little bit with through my nose, kind of, you know, keeping myself from breathing. Kind of like where my uvula is, I would close off there, and my throat. The only one I can actually kind of show you is, wait, that's my throat. And you can close that off and then not breathe. And I was doing those things. I was holding my diaphragm really tight, and there was some tenseness all in my abdomen and everything a lot of the time. Um, and you can tell I do tend to hold myself kind of tensely. Well, look at that and see. Oh, it's always the opposite of what you think it is. But I have to work on relaxing that shoulder a lot. Um, but yeah, I was holding so many things tense, and I had to learn to just breathe unencumbered, not stopping it on the way out. And then, you know, so for a little bit, it was still a little too big some of the time, but I didn't pass out or anything. That's why I don't want to recommend it to anybody else as far as that, because I don't want you to pass out or something. But it helped me to not have to feel, start feeling what I'm doing, feeling what I've been doing wrong, how I kept closing it off and trying to control it, and just, okay, you're just breathing. You're just breathing. Okay. All right. You know, that's cool. That's all you're doing. And so it was less things to have to deal with. And once I got just breathing. The second thing was I saw this lung on the internet drawing. It was in bright red, and a body, and there was a side view of just one lung. But they were showing hyperventilation. It was like, you know, and pretty fast. It was, and then normal, how it should be, you know, it was less. And so I kind of had that vision in my mind of, okay, less, make it less going out, less coming in, less going out. Slow it and slow it down. So, you know, I was doing less and I was doing it slower. So somehow that vision seemed to help a little bit. Um, a lot of the sites will say to breathe deeply but slowly. I worry about that deeply thing because when I get really deep, that's when I tend to, it's like I'm letting out too much air, and then I will let in too much air. And I'm trying, so I tend to go with the less and the slower. That's just what I do. Um, and you can't be a success at all. And let me tell you, after hyperventilating, you can't just cure all these things instantly. I don't think you've got to get your body more used to going back to some of those old patterns. Because after all, it's not like learning a foreign language or something. You were breathing before. The breathing is there. It's just off. You just have to figure out how to get it back on again. Um, the other thing is so important. Get your mind on something else as soon as you can, as quickly as you can. So you do some of these relaxation things, try to get it under control a little bit, and then concentrate on something. If you can find a good article to read and just stare at it, or I don't know, get up and go do something. And again, and it's hard to find something to do sometimes that where you think, okay, my mind's going to get off it, because your breathing can tend to get back to normal when you're doing something like that. It doesn't always, but you can tend to. But I found that really important, and I would immediately be like, think of something else, think of something else, get involved with something. Um, Relax the diaphragm. That's number 4, but I just held that diaphragm tight. My diaphragm, which is what you breathe, it comes down as you breathe. Um, it seems to have been problems in a lot of things, jogging, and those are other stories, but yeah, just relaxing. Number 5, the fast meditation. This is the fast meditation, and I love doing this. You go by yourself somewhere and you just sit quietly and try to relax everything first. And then you think about a beautiful place and just focus on that place. And you just do that for a very short period of time, and you will feel better. Your blood pressure will lower. I usually I'm in some scenes in Michigan. There's a lot of beautiful scenes, and I can choose one of those scenes for meditating. One of mine, I'll tell you, is me sitting on a stone, and there's a couple stones around me, and there's pine needles, and there's pine trees up around me. So this is like my little enclosure, and I'm sitting in that beauty with that pine scent and just enjoying the out of doors. And so those things will help you to relax. I think those are good. So you do that twice a day, or whenever you need it. Um, so number 6, caffeine. Oh, I hate to say that because I have been a caffeine addict since I was 16 years old. And I love coffee. And I give it up for a while, like 10 days, and I go, I still have issues, so I go back to caffeine, and it would feel so good to get that buzz back. I love it, but I have, at my age now, 64, drinking the 7 cups of coffee a day, or even 4 cups, is way too much. My body can't handle that anymore. So I drink like this much real coffee and this much decaf in a cup, and I do that. And then a lot of times during the day, I just drink decaf. Like I'll do this much 4 times a day, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, just that much real coffee, and the rest decaf. And the rest of the time I drink decaf, or I drink herbal teas or something like that, or water. So that helps, and I sleep more deeply, which is important. It really is important. So, or as the young people say, important, important. I don't know how they do it. But anyway, um, sugar possibility. Some of them say it's not good. I would just say don't eat too much sugar, just only because it can raise your blood sugar level, and so it can make you kind of spacey or something. Um, what do I want to say? I was told not to eat more than 100 calories of sugar a day. I just kind of do not more than 100 calories in an hour, because I don't want to, like if you're drinking a milkshake or something, you're going to be throwing down all that sugar and fat, um, in a short period of time. And sure, that's going to really, really affect you. So I try to space out my sweets a little bit, and have smaller amounts. It's a reason to control your sweets, which is great. You need a reason. Here's a reason. You can control your sweets now because you've got a reason in your head that's greater than the sweets. At least we hope so. But so that's one. Fat, I'm just talking about fat because I want to. It's got nothing really to do with this hyperventilation right now. Because I know that just recently I had like too much vegan frosting, which was vegan margarine with powdered sugar, I believe it was. It's technically vegan. They call it vegan. Let's say that's the sugar thing is always iffy, but uh, yeah, I really felt from from eating like licking off like 3 of the cupcakes and it's like I didn't want the cupcake part. It actually made me feel dull afterwards, and I thought my red blood cells right now are sludging through my system. They become sticky with the fat, and they're just sticking together and they're sludging. And I felt awful and just blah, like I didn't want to do anything. Seriously, cut the fat. I have a little bit of fresh ground flaxseed in the morning on my cereal, and that's really like there's my omega-3s right there. And otherwise, I keep the fat really low because you can have a lot more energy and feel better. It's got nothing to do with your hyperventilation. Just I like to get that in there. Okay, back to hyperventilation. Check your stress levels regularly. Just be more mindful, as they say, more aware that you're actually stressed. Sometimes there's nothing you can do with it. You're in a situation, and you can't get out of it. But be aware of, even though you think, but I know it, and I'm having, finding things to do, you still sometimes don't realize how much it's affecting your body. So you got to start being really hyper aware of your situation so you don't hyperventilate. Um, so yeah, check your muscles, do relaxation techniques. And the other one is exercise. You have a hard time hyperventilating if you're exercising a whole lot. So that's another good quick fix there. That was number 9. So you've really heard everything that helped me, and that just freeing up that breathing and relaxing it and making it smaller, it really has helped break the habits that I was into, the pattern I was into. So I'm doing a whole lot better. And so I did want to share all of that. So hopefully you will look into these things yourselves and do your research and all that and find some ways to help yourself, make things easier. And I hope your chronic hyperventilation syndrome and your panic attacks and all those things start going away. And thank you very much for listening to this.